Welcome to our Global Connectivity Conference for networking. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm the host of Realty Coffee Talk, and I welcome Ray Dubash. He's a Chief Executive Officer of Mississauga Real Estate Board. It's a great honor that he's here. And Gerald is also a good friend of mine. He's from Alberta. He's a board director, instructor of REIC, Alberta chapter. Very active, and as other friends will join us, this is through the LinkedIn network. So I'm going to begin our conversation with Ray Dubash. Can you, Rubesh, tell us what's going on about Mississauga board? Can you give us any update, any news that you'd like to share with us?
Thank you, Mr. Qureshi. I am very pleased and proud to announce that we have crossed the 2,300 threshold.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Thank you. And now we are trudging towards the 2,400 mark. In fact, as of today, as of now, we are 75 short of 2,400. So inshallah, we will be making that transition very soon. Also, this for the first time in the history of the Mississauga Real Estate Board, we have 204, I will repeat, 204 member brokerages, which is a record. And as per the CREA stats, we are the fastest growing board in Canada. I believe our growth in Q1 was 106% or 104%, the highest ever in the history of CREA. So that is pretty remarkable. And the reason for this growth is we provide exceptional service at reasonable rates. We have quality educational programs. We have quality speakers that kind of present at these events. We provide a lot of services like Income, Exact, SentryLock, Dot Loop, Teaming Way. The list goes on. And if you do the math, the savings and the benefits of these programs equal to the $75 a month that we charge our members, it kind of pretty well washes it out. So considering this, the board is on a strong path. There was some issue with the land transfer tax. As you know, the provinces are hurting, the cities are hurting. So the city of Mississauga had a meeting for the proposal to discuss the land transfer tax. And as per our previous experience, things like this should be nipped in the bud, and we went pretty proactive. We got a lot of support from Provincial Association, the Ontario Real Estate Association, and our chair of government relations, Mike Kennelly, who's also a director of the board, did a deputation to the city. Currently, we are in the last phase of our MPP meetings for PAC days. Previously, PAC days used to be a whole lot of fun. We used to spend 4 days downtown, going to Queen's Park, visiting MPPs, but now, thanks to COVID, everything is virtual, which is now the new norm. So instead of going to Queen's Park and even watching the Parliament in progress, we now do everything via Zoom. So we had our last meeting with Minister Khalid Rashid on Friday last week, at which time we talk about increasing incentives for first-time home buyers. So I don't know, Gerald, if you're familiar with this or not, but we have what is called a provincial land transfer tax in the province of Ontario, where you pay a land transfer tax, and it's an upfront cost. You can include that in your mortgage. So it's an upfront cost, and in many cases, that's a deal breaker for first-time home buyers, the young generation that want to buy a house. They've saved just enough for the down payment, but because the land transfer tax, which is 2%, and it's a part of the closing cost. So you have to have that cash upfront. Otherwise, the deal does not go through, and it becomes a deal breaker. For our agents, it's a deal breaker. For the clients, it's a heartbreaker. So we are appealing to the government to increase the land transfer tax rebate from $4,000 to $8,000, or simply abolish it for the first-time home buyer to encourage and motivate them to buy versus renting. Because when somebody buys a property, the indirect flow of capital to the economy is phenomenal. I'll give you my own example. I bought a house. I moved from Toronto to Mississauga since I worked for the Mississauga Real Estate Board in 2017. The previous owner had spent about $180,000 on the house. It was completely renovated from top to bottom, including new staircase, new washrooms, new kitchen, new hardwood floors. Like, they spent a lot of money because honestly, they had no plans to sell the property. But then the owner had a heart attack and he died unexpectedly, and the wife could not carry the mortgage on their own. I'm sure you've heard these stories before. So they had to sell it, came on the market. It was more like a private sale. We did not let it go on MLS, otherwise there would be a bidding frenzy, as Tahir Saab would recollect in 2017 it was. So long story short, when we bought this house and we moved in, there was stuff that my wife wanted to get done. It was completely renovated, but there were things she wanted her way. Like, she didn't like the paint in
Everybody like customization
and stuff like that. So long story short is we spent like, I think $35,000 or $40,000 hiring contractors, buying stuff from the Home Depot. We changed the pots in the toilet because from a hygiene perspective, that's what we wanted to do. So all that money, like when you buy stuff from the Home Depot, there is HST that is paid to the government. So these are all the indirect incentives that the government gets. And this is what we're arguing on. So in a nutshell, the board has been very busy front and center. And of course, there is this COVID situation that we got to deal and cope with. And it's the new norm, but it just makes doing business more difficult.
Wonderful. Okay, Gerald, can you please keep your mic on, please? Mike, we're going to have a conversation. So tell us right now, before this federal election, I did a Realty Coffee Talk. I brought my candidate on television show, and she's now elected MP. I will bring her back because we're talking about different platforms for the parties they want to implement because of affordability is an issue now. Liberal has a very interesting plans, including stop on blind bidding. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at their proposals, what they were offering.
Well, I haven't looked in depth at their proposals, but I've done a little bit of looking into it. Yeah, and you're asking my comments on it?
Yes. Because I like to know how you see this, because now liberals are minority, they're going to form the government. So how do you see that? They have some good program. They have they want to make sure the home inspection is mandatory and the flipping is stopped, there are taxes on it. And they want to also reduce the rebate for, the insurance, 25% reduction in insurance, about $6,100 for the first time home buyer to the loan to value is high with CMHC. So give us some thought about that stuff, because this is going to come out now.
Sure. Well, first of all, full disclosure, when it comes to politics, I'm not conservative, I'm not liberal, I'm not really anything. So full disclosure, I don't lean anyway. I try my best to look at the logic of every situation.
Yeah.
So that said, given our current federal government, I'm not very supportive of a lot that they're doing. And so that's full disclosure. I don't like the way they're taking us very far down the road toward the left, towards socialism and there's very strong left influences. So I think we're getting out of balance. So there's my full disclosure. That said, I'm not in favor of this, of removal of blind bidding. And I've given it a lot of thought. I've thought about both sides of it. And I just can't see how a buyer has a right to know who has bid what on my property. If I wish to sell it to whoever I want, if I wish to sell it to someone for less money, I have that right.
Yes.
If I wish to sell it to someone, if somebody's made a higher bid, as a seller, I don't see the need to disclose all those details. Look at, for example, buyers nowadays. We've both been in this industry long enough to know that 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, buyers would always disclose how much the down payment was and how much their financing was. Now they tell a seller that's none of your business. So, you can't have it both ways. You want the amount of disclosure and the amount of privacy has to be kept in balance. And I think blind bidding is a removal of blind bidding. I feel that it's an overreach on the part of legislation.
Yeah, that's true, because I think our Canadian Real Estate Association, as well as Ontario Real Estate, is opposing that. They're saying is that you need to focus on a short of supply, focus on supply. And based on my last episode, which I disclosed and I mentioned, that none of these parties really focus on supply or improve the approval process so it can expedite the red tape on approval process, because it takes very lengthy and it's time consuming. And then builder will take advantage of that, because when they're coming up with a new and how they invite people, we do need to change a little bit their soliciting process, because I think they work very differently than the registrar, the license to practice. So we're hoping that the rule that apply to all us, just the professional, applies to the builder, so they are bound to or forced to use realtors to follow the protocol, because consumer don't have any protection, because when one company is representing the builder and they say sign a customer document and they only bring 10 houses, they finish, the next 10 minutes they come up with the higher prices. So this is going on for a long time. So
well, as much as I would love to have everyone forced to use a realtor, I can't support that. I can't support forcing someone to use this. It still is a free and democratic society. Our economic system is capitalist based with socialist influences, a mixed economy.
Yeah.
I can't see forcing someone to use a realtor, but I think we can all say that it is definitely in your best interests to use a real estate professional. Time and time again, the facts. I mean, builders are not bad people, but it's their job to maximize their profit, like any business person, right? Within reason, it's their job to maximize their profit. It's our job to mediate that so that both parties come away with a fair and honest and a good deal for everyone, right? So I definitely believe it's a good thing for consumers to use a real estate professional, absolutely, regardless of the transaction, for sure.
Yeah, I tell you, based on this COVID situation for the last 18, 20 months, and I think most of the builders are now using those professionals, helping them out, because it's all virtual now and everybody have to, transform their method of business, and virtually has been there. So Ray, we're going to ask you, tell us what kind of feedback you get about from your members. Just for disclosure, I'm also board director of Mississauga Real Estate Board and chair of Education Committee. Just for disclosure, any feedback that you get about the economy or anything that from your member they want you to do something more, or any feedback?
Well, the biggest complaint that we have in Mississauga right now is the lack of inventory, and this has spiked prices. They want us to do something about inventory, and as I said during our MPP meetings, we wanted the government to take measures where we could bring affordability home. This is actually the screen drop that we use, the virtual background that we use. At the back, I don't know, Gerald, if you've been to Ontario, but at the back, the building that you see is Queen's Park.
Yeah.
So
nice,
so that's the biggest complaint about members.
Sorry, Ray, is Queen's Park the seat of government, or what is that?
Yes, for the seat of provincial government.
How come they always get the nicest houses?
You need to move there.
So the biggest problem that we anticipate right now, or the biggest gripe from our membership, is there isn't enough inventory when a house does come up on the market. There are multiple offers, and there are bully offers, and prices are way above ballpark. Like there was one house where an agent was complaining that they put 60,000 over because the client really liked the property, didn't want to lose it. It went for 280 over asking.
Yeah.
And the property was not underpriced or undervalued or anything. It was a fair market evaluation, but because there's a dearth of supply, it's just increasing the prices of properties. So that's what Mr. Qureshi, the members' biggest issue or challenge is at this point in time.
Yeah, Gerald, we have pointed out in our conversation that lots of our realtors, they list property low. They know that a property is sold for a certain amount, but they list 200,000 less than that just to solicit bids. It's a strategy. Rico has no objection to it. Is a seller's right how they want to market them. So is that something happening in Alberta too? We have a problem here.
I don't know that. I can't comment on Ontario. In Alberta, in my experience, that's never been an issue or a problem. And I'm going to guess maybe it's similar in Ontario, but most real estate professionals will sit down with the client and they'll say, look, here's the price, here's the costs and the benefits of listing here. Here's the costs and the benefits of listing here. Here's the costs and the benefits of listing here. And most realtors will do that. And I've never seen it here as a problem where we will mislead a client. It just doesn't happen. It's just, it's just not a common thing. So I think most professionals probably sit with their clients and tell them the benefits of here, here, and here, and the costs of here, here, and here, and they make their own decision after they've been fully informed. But no, it's definitely not a problem here that I've noticed. And I don't know, maybe Ray or Tahir, or Winston could even comment. But
yeah, Winston just joined us.
I'm guessing the clients in Ontario are probably going through the same process with their professionals, where they're discussing the pluses and minuses of different prices. I don't know.
It's a strategy, it's legal. The only thing is it creates a lot of hope with the buyers, the potential of them, because they come to you, oh, look at this. This is a low price, but this we tell them and we evaluate, they say, listen, this is listed 200,000 less. So when they see a selling price, oh my God, I sold more than $250,000 more, like Ray mentioned that. So that's where the challenge is. And we're trying to keep it as a professional and ethic. So Vincent Chan, welcome. Vincent, can you turn your mic?
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, sorry about being late.
Not a problem. So Ray Dubash is our Chief Executive Officer at Mississauga board.
Hi.
Hello, Winston.
So you already know Gerald's and also Mr. Dubash, Mr. Chan also is a past president of Rural Institute of Canada, head of national office. And he's a mentor, educator. We always learn from him. So we're talking about about recent election happened. And now we're expecting some changes coming to the marketplace. Some will have a federal jurisdiction. Some may have Ontario jurisdiction. Some may have municipality jurisdiction. So remember, they were talking about the flipping of special taxes. They were increasing, reducing some loan to value, first-time home buyers. They were increasing the return, I think, rebate from 4 to 10,000. And there are also additional funding, billions of dollars available to municipality to increase. So what is your intake in general now? The Liberal Party has come back to the government again.
Well, I think I would really focus on not quite the plan, but action. I think we have been planning for so long, and I wish to see some immediate action. Some of the concept is, I should say most of the concept of what the federal government proposed, or all these three parties do, really need the cooperation with the municipal government and the provincial government. And I wanted to focus on how, rather than the plan. Like we have been hearing the plan all day long, and we've been hearing way too many times too. And now that we finish off the election, we should focus on the action plan. And I think it's really important for either federal or provincial or municipal government to interact with professionals such as our organization here, Real Estate Institute of Canada, or the CIPS, and the real professional get the real data, rather than randomly relied on a certain perception. Like, say, for instance, like we always comment about or focusing on a foreign buyer, but data after data confirmed to us that there is not really the case, and then supply is a real issue, and I really wanted to see and understand the plan.
Fantastic. So since you are a builder, you're vice president of Tridel, they're building. So do you see in their plan that they were going to do some improvement to improve the process of approval? Because you have a big joint company, I'm sure they have everything, but do you feel some slowness in the process for the approval or something that can be improved?
Well, I think you said it right, Tahir. I think one of the biggest challenge other than supply is the complicated approval process. And
Yes.
then through our CIPS network or Global Connectivity Network, we do understand that a lot of major municipality across North America, the approval process is a lot more streamlined and efficient compared to what we are dealing with now. A typical condominium, like shovel in the ground before I be able to pass on the keys to a potential purchaser. We're talking about a process of 5 to even sometimes 12 years. This type of timing and process, I don't think that's going to help too much of supply issue if we really try to make up our mind to deal with that. The complication of the provincial government and the municipal government, it is something that for sure need to streamline, because even if you wanted to build anything in any municipality, the approval process, and to hear you also in a big part of your endeavor to do a lot of good work to your community. You have your community building too. I'm sure that you go through the same challenge that we have as well. So that's something that I think that we really need to get together to kind of streamline the process.
I just for share with you, with one project that I work, it took me more than 7 years to get the approvals.
Correct.
Because it was a little bit political, a little bit because of that, but it took a very lengthy process. So Gerald, go ahead. Paul is also join us. Paul, can you activate your video, please, Paul? Paul Nathan?
Would we be able to discuss the proposed tax that Winston talked about, the capital gains tax, for a few minutes?
Yes,
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to give my thoughts on that. When Paul shows up, if you want to interrupt me to have Paul give his introduction, just let me know. But I've given that some thought, and I'm not in favor of their proposed capital gains tax on the residences. If you sell after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If I understand correctly, the problem they're trying to address is flippers, business people buying a home, fixing it up, and reselling it. And it's a perfectly legitimate form of business. There's nothing wrong with it as a business form. The problem, I think, if I understand correctly, is some of them don't. They try and claim it as their principal residence. They try and avoid paying their income taxes. So the problem is not taxation. The problem is tax avoidance.
Yes.
If they're following the law, they will claim this as a business income, which it is. They'll claim their inputs, they'll claim their cost of construction, the cost of purchase, they'll offset that against their income, and then you pay your income tax on your profits, which is any other business does. And I'm thinking the solution is not like to now add a second level of taxation. The capital gains tax is a very onerous second level that these business people will pay that other businesses don't pay, because really the house is not a capital gain to them, it's their inventory. They're buying inventory, they're adding value to the inventory and selling it. So my thoughts are more of a crackdown on people that are avoiding it, that are trying to claim it as a principal residence when in reality it's a business purchase. That's my thoughts on that. I don't know how the other gentlemen feel about it, but
I think CRA is already looking after that. If you are claiming it, they can go back and ask more details. and they will ask you how many, when you file your tax return, how many private properties do you own? Whether it's a corporation or it's a private, you disclose that, and they can assess that which one is your principal. When you claim the principal, and you're claiming a rebate on the new program, and you take a $25,000 whatever from
Tahir, are you
CGT.
aware that the Liberal government has proposed an added capital gains tax now on these properties in addition to income tax? I don't know if you're aware of that. And
I
that's what
haven't
I'm
seen the
saying.
detail. I haven't seen the detail. Again, is devil is in the details. And like Vincent has mentioned, that they need to put in action, propose, and consult with professionals. I spoke to quite a few, because I'm a liberal ideology, I'm disclosing it. And I spoke to all my candidates, they're all now MPs. I told them that you should consult, reach out to Royal Institute of Canada. They are the leader. We are not trade organization. We are mentor, educator, and get their feedback for the committee before you form the policy and make legislative changes to implement certain things. Because we'll give you hands-on. We're not commercial oriented. We're not trade organization. Other boards are, but the Real Institute of Canada is an educator. So I'm hoping that I will have that opportunity to go through our MPs now to reach out to provide feedback to the federal government, to the committees or whatever. I think we need to be more active on that to make sure that our doors are open. So Vincent, be ready for it. I'm going to get you the invite to come and do a presentation to them.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Like at least we can kind of exchange the idea, and yes, we talk about the taxes too. To me, all this taxation, either to us or foreigner, or the proposed principal resident tax, or what you're mentioning, the tax on top of it, all those policy are tackling demand. I honestly don't think demand is really the issue here, and like the demand, you cannot stop it. Like, you know, especially after COVID too, it would be Canada become even more preferable in the world stage. Look at all the investment in terms of the technology and in terms of business opportunity coming this way. I think the core problem for us is we just don't have enough of the supply. Like if the supply is limited, no matter how you put the taxes through, or you know, there is a proposal talking about making sure that bidding is more open. Taxation, bidding, and all that is all demand, and I honestly don't think that there's a core problem. And then even they're commenting about, you know, our bidding process and everything, and make it more open. And think about it. One step behind that, why do we need to have bidding? If we have enough inventory, people can choose, then people don't even need to bid on it.
Yes.
Taxation rise, and no matter even if you put in another 20% tax, if the supply is limited, people have to live somewhere. They may need to pay anyways.
Yeah,
So I don't think this type of taxation and this type of policy, it's been able to solve a problem. We've been trying this type of policy, stress test and all. Have not actually affected our price, and I think we really need to deal with the core issue. And then to his point too, not all our opinion or our methodology is perfect, but I think it's advantageous for the government official to kind of consult us, and we are on the day-to-day basis too. We may see something that they don't know, or maybe we be able to clarify some of the stats that they have. That's I love and eager to share.
Wonderful. Now we have a joint. Paul Nathan is also our member of REIC Toronto Chapter Board Director. And you're a chair of IREM also. Are you not in the? Yes. And he's a CPM and lots of designations. So Paul, election happened, lots of promises. What's happening? What do you take on? What's going on? What will I expect this next couple of more weeks to see what new changes are coming to our real estate? Give us your thought.
It is too early for me to make any matured comments, because as you know that this is the first ever time I live in this place to see or witness an election. But answering to your question, there were two extremes were being expected. Either the existing party go with the majority, or the other party comes in. But unfortunately, it was the same thing of what we have seen in the previous elections. So those numbers did not made any surprise or excitement, and it is yet another day, and we just move on with the existing scenario, what is been happening. But I was really expecting any one extreme happen so that we could see some fun or excitement. But
we're talking about Paul about the real estate that can impact us now rather than politics. Idea again is what policies that we're expecting, changes that was announced. In my episode, I had a couple of MPs now, they're MPs now, came in. We pinpoint a program because party that we have now chosen again has some ideas, good or bad. They're not focused on short of supply or affordability. They're focused on taxing, increasing taxing. There are some good putting additional taxes on the flip-ons and vacant houses. That is going to introduce. There are federal issues coming, could be provincial. Municipality. The biggest issue is that we have heard from people is short of supply. Our real estate associations talk about short of supply is the big issue that they need to focus on. And also new avenue to raise revenue for the government to run their business, not just focus on real estate. And that is my concern is so maybe anybody can jump in. I think Vincent, you can do, or Paul as well.
I could say a few things here. Again, it's my opinion only. As everyone is talking about what are the recent announcements announced by the existing ruling Liberal Party about the so-called new ideas just before the election. My question is, why not you said that when you were elected before, and why you did not implement all these things in that 2 years? Why all on a sudden all these things have come? So I don't really take it seriously, whatever they said in this last 1 month, because now they know the results and back to business, and they need to fill the hole, see that how much they could bombard more on creating the revenue from every bit of, Trudeau gentleman, Vincent, knows that how much money that itself government takes on every development project. You have seen that that money is not taken by the government like 12% to 14%. How much every end user would be able to get? A $1 million property could be 750,000 if you start removing those additional costs from nowhere it comes. So this is my one point, that if you really wanted to create more supply, more affordability, then government should not be, keep bombarding people on loading and loading and loading from every aspect. Now you see, I have been managing the federal government properties in this last 6 months. All the vendors have not agreed any quotations that we agreed 3 months back. They said 40% more, 30% more. So these developers have promised X amount of price for these properties. How they are going to deliver at that price is $1 million cost if this inflation goes at 4.2%. The benchmark for CPI index is 2%. Now it is 4.3%. So, whether they will be able to make break even, God only knows. This is my one point on the supply and cost matrix. And on the second hand, when you want to meet really the demand and supply, everybody knows that I moved out from Middle East and came here. And there, what model that we worked in one point of time where decision making is much easier because you have the top guns, one person signs like Sheikh Mohammed, it's done, where they announced a project model called special project. And they will have like experts, industrial people like any of you guys, like being in the industry for 20, 30 years and knows every bit of how to immediately increase the supply model. Then it goes to the special projects, and the approval project takes place in 30 days. not 6 months to 1 year.
While
And you are also allowed to continue the project in a fast manner. You will be given free access to the vendors inside the country, outside the country. Rules are, relaxed in such a way that you can import the products that you cannot get it here. So that instead of 3 years or 2.5 years of construction of your high-rise tower, you will see this tower in 12 months with 40 floors with 800 units.
Yeah, Paul, this is exactly what we're talking about, the process, because we need to expedite the process and simplify it so it goes to create more supply and demand, because we have a shortage of supply. So this is the reason now construction project going to be suffer because of COVID. Productivity, manufacturing has gone 25% for the last 18 months. Now is coming back toward 50%. They have a shortage of laborers because government is providing them about $2,000 a month. So lots of laborers are not going back to work. So I think, Vincent, you expect that government will be stopping those payments soon, I guess. Vincent?
And I think on one hand, I think government really need to recuperate the certain costs too. But then, as Paul alluded to, developer, whoever get into development, it's facing a tremendous cost pressure. Not just from the government, from the logistics standpoint, from the COVID challenge, and there is an imminent cost pressure. So it is important for us to actually manage both too. They forgot the cost or any additional cost pressure adding to us too. That would also translate into a higher price and home price. So, and during the election, I see a lot of politician or media confuse the terms about affordable housing and housing affordability. Yeah. And I think, yes, I also need to love to find a balance to build a few more affordable homes too, but we cannot lose track of the housing affordability. So all this inclusive zoning and all this forcing the developer to kind of participate in affordable homes. No matter how many affordable homes that you build, you also need to manage the home being affordable. So we need to find a balance somewhere. Like say, even the stress tests that coming along, that would not help the housing affordability. The additional levy and the additional challenge that coming to us, that would not help us at all. So I think that's something that we really need to have a lot more dialogue between the professional or the industry stakeholder to be able to talk to the government and present the real problem. Sometimes too, we are very, very easily be able to affected by a certain media or certain political statements. Saying things is very easy, would you like affordable housing? Obviously, it's yes, but then how about housing affordability? What's your plan? And then how we be able to collectively make the housing affordable? Increasing supplies is one of them too, but also how about increasing the type of home offer, like the link house and the missing middle and then others too. Those are the things that we hear quite often among our industry peers. But I really wanted this message to be able to communicate it to the provincial or the federal or the municipal government so that they have action rather than just planning. I think we plan enough for the past many years.
I just may add, just give me Paul a minute. There are a couple of things in terms of affordable housing. I personally feel that the government is funding, they set aside 4 billion funds to provide funding. So these are what they call subsidized home through the municipalities to provide support for them. They are not the open market affordability housing. Those are controlled by private sector, and they need to encourage the process. I just want to see just that I'm able to clarify that, because the government only fund, they have empty buildings, they want to convert them into residential, which will be subsidized housing through the respective region or boards, whatever. But in terms of private sector, because General had pointed out, we have a capital market free market, anybody can invest, make profit, whatever. if they change the process, and like Paul had mentioned, they adopt system that has been successful in other part of the world, they can improve that, and shortage is recovered, because we're expecting influx of immigrants come in, and there are about 1 million people coming in a year or two, and we already suffering shortage, so obviously the price is going to go up. So I'm going to ask General, so if you want to add something to anything this.
Thank you, Tahir. Did Paul had a comment? Did you want to do that first?
Yeah,
And then I can
yeah,
comment?
Jerry, you go ahead. I will talk later. No problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to make a couple of comments, and then I want to add one new point. First thing, and being from Alberta, it's nice to see the shoe on the other foot, that you guys are the bad guys for once, not us anymore. You know, we've been through this in the past where we've had the boom, boom, boom economies. And if you remember, everybody wanted to make policies to rein in Alberta because it was affecting other places. And now the shoe's on the other foot. For example, they brought in, as Winston mentioned, they brought in the stress test, but that was not brought in for all of Canada. That was brought in because of the markets in Vancouver and Toronto. So where I'm going with this is, any solution, you know, our governments need to stop trying to fix everything with one Band-Aid, put one Band-Aid across the entire country.
Yeah.
You know, Canada is a very diverse country, and we need to have solutions sometimes that are not universal across the country. We need to sometimes have policies that focus more, depending on the situation, on different areas. Secondly, I hate to be the dissenting voice, but I just want to urge caution, because anytime you hear someone from the government say, I'm here to help, it always ends badly. And so, you know, we all want, I don't know the situation. I don't know if supply is the issue. I do know that we all have the same problem across Canada. Governments take forever to approve projects. It's getting more complex. It's getting more lengthy. More than one of we're having a municipal election in Edmonton, and more than one of our candidates is promising to shorten that process. So it could be that supply is the problem. I guess what I'm saying is we better be careful. We know what the problem is before we get the guy from the government to say, I'm here to help, because that doesn't always end well. One last comment. One thing that really concerned me in the Liberal platform was this comment. You probably heard the comment to developers: use it or lose it. That's a really scary comment, and I don't know what they're hinting at there, but it would sure be nice to have more details on what exactly you're talking about in a free country with private property ownership, to say to someone, use it or lose it. That's what concerned me.
Yeah, definitely. Realty Coffee Talk going to be reaching out to, once the new form government is cabinet minister decided. We're going to be very active. I've been inviting all of you to come and join me. We're going to be talking, inviting them for interview just like this. I'm going to send invitations to the Prime Minister also to come and talk to us, because we are EIC professional, and we all have extensive experience, and Vincent is our leader, and Paul. So, you know, it's a good time to talk. They need to consult with the industry leader before they make policy or develop any guidelines. So we can give them, because we are acting as a member of REIC, as a fellows, we are acting as a non-trade organization. So I'm talking about that we have lots of other professionals, lots of our leaders been president, and including Vincent Chan. So we're going to form the team, and I'm going to hopefully ask our MPs to arrange a meeting in a House of Commons, to go there and meet with the people. I promise you guys, I'm going to make arrangement to take our team, and we're going to go to Ottawa and talk about these issues with them. So I think we're going to have 5 minutes. So I'm going to give each one a closing remarks. So we're going to start with Paul. 1 minute, please, your last message.
Yes. Again, going back to this affordability quickly, if ministry can create that kind of economical model, even the private sectors can do. We do not need all the properties with exclusive facilities. As you and me live close together, and between us, there is a high-rise building, but I don't use any of the facilities. I go to the town center. to go for swim or cycling or anything. So you imagine that the basic essential property comes, and imagine 1 out of 10 immigrants may be rich enough to afford. So what is affordability? So, your condo 2-bedroom or 700 can be built for 400 also, if the city is coming forward to understand what are the different components of model that they can give. But overall, as you rightly said, this is always a problem where when people sitting in authority to approve things with red tapeism, and people like you and me sitting with the end users know the reality of the ground, there is a huge communication gap between these two. If they manage to get that communication gap tight and they both speak the same language, then you have solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gerald, you want to say last minute? And then I'll go to Ray, and then Chan will be the last one.
Sure. Thank you, Tahir. I just actually what Paul said, I want to pick up a little bit on that in a bigger context. We're talking politics today, and I want to encourage all your listeners, in fact, all Canadians, that our politics has become very divided and very divisive lately, and it's almost to the point where we're demonizing people who are on the other side of our views. And I think I want to appeal to everyone. We need to come back together, talk to each other. We're all people. We all have families. We all want to just live our lives, but we need to talk out our differences. And as Paul mentioned, come together, communicate, and work things out. We're not always going to agree on everything, but if we all give and take a little bit, and remember, we're all Canadians, we're all people, and bring our politics back to a more civilized level, and we'll get a lot more accomplished. So that's basically all I have to say, Tahir. Again, once, as always, thank you for these opportunities to do.
Thank you. Ray, can you off your phone, please? I want to just give the last word.
You may have to go to Winston, maybe.
Okay. I wanted to. Okay, Vincent, go ahead. Last message.
Yes, and I think I often congratulate Tahir for your good work and connected everybody together. And I think this is key. As Jared mentioned too, sometimes you often try to use one solution to solve all this different problem across Canada. But simply because of the connectivity, the networking, and exchanged idea, we may be able to come up with a perfect solution, assisting the government or even assisting us to be able to deal with the current challenge. And I think, once again, congratulations Tahir for this amazing initiative. You are the connector to connect us together, and hopefully we can collectively do some good works.
I definitely thank you very much. You've been a great mentor and good friend, and I value everybody's time, and you've been always supportive. And again, it's because it's an industry that we bring bread and butter on the table. Is very sensitive to us, not only for us, but also first serving our client with dignity and respect, and also taking care of our business, because we have fiduciary duty to protect our client. There are lots of guidelines came from Real Estate Council. Recently, you probably heard about that when our MLS system allow people to give less commission for the people, and realtor was not showing the property, which may be meeting the needs of the client, but because of less commission, $1, nobody wants to do business with them, but it violates and breaches the code of ethics. So there are certain education we are trying to do to make sure we are educating everyone to make sure that we are doing a best service. So Ray, can you get off the phone? You want to say a message, Ray? Okay. Ray, we have to close. I'm going to do the closing remarks. So you want to say something before you? Look at me asking, Ray.
Maybe he's busy. Maybe I think you should just do your remark.
All right. So thank you very much. I really appreciate Gerald, Paul, Vincent, Ray to joining our Global Connectivity Conference for Networking. I promise you, I'm going to reach out to our new elected member of parliament to give the REIC the opportunity to come and bring all the leaders of our industry to present some ideas and guidance, because we are industry leaders. So I'm hoping that our elected members are listening and they'll be watching on YouTube and LinkedIn and other Facebook, and they will join us, and hopefully we'll get to speak to our elected government. Thank you for watching, and we'll
Thank
surely
you.
get back to you on the next episode in October. Thank you.
All
Bye
right.
for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.